your value, your character, and who you choose to be is your identity, but not what you hold on to. Those are roles. Maybe I didn't discover who I am early, but it doesn't mean that I learned to be a prophetess. No, change is a big deal. People don't easily want an abrupt change. In relationship, I think that we should let the relationship be so free that we can both evolve in any way in our life. I don't expect him to force himself into being a prophet just because I'm a prophetess. In our time, our parents would even shut you when you were a girl and you are playing football.
The type of places that you take your children would help them grow in their mindsets that they will pick up growing up.
Now social media, they don't need to even, just on their phone, and they can model something good. That's when they want to use it for a good purpose.
Speaking life over dry, broken stone.
Hello and welcome to Builders Circle. This is a space where we have honest, spirit-led conversations about anything life, marriage, relationships, etc. My name is Barbara, and today we'll be talking about identity. We are piggybacking off our conference, the Woman Better Builder conference, that anchored on the theme, If You Can Believe. And that is taken from the scripture Mark 9:23. So today we're going to dive deeper into identity. We're going to explore what it means for us to put away our titles and truly identify who we are without these names, without these titles, without anything attached to us. Who are we? What is our personality? Who are we supposed to be? Who has God called us to be? And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce, as usual, my mom. Mommy, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Are you ready to talk about identity?
Always excited to talk. Yes.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good to have you once again.
Thank you.
And I'm excited about this conversation. So, as I said, a lot of times, most of us, or I can even say all of us, we are identified by our titles. Either you are a wife of somebody. When someone sees, the first thing they say is, oh, this is the wife of someone, or the son of the daughter of this person, or he's the manager of this, he works here, blah, blah, blah. But nobody ever pauses to ever think, who is this person behind, the title? And today I really want us to go beyond that. So the big question is, who will still know you without your title?
Thank you, Barbara. Who will still know you without your title?
Yeah.
Many a times it is when we tend to appreciate the things we work hard for than the value we are. First of all, who we are, we build our values, our character, and the relationship we have with God. That makes us who we are. And so if you don't know all these values about yourself, you tend to think that being a CEO is who you are, being a teacher is who you are. But your identity is not your title. Your identity is your values, your character, and the things you choose to be. So all these things, your values, your character, and who you are, your personality becomes your personality.
So identity is personality.
Basically, identity is your person, and your persons is your values, your character that builds who you are. Your values, your character. And so many a times people think that assuming somebody asks you, That's an example I'm giving you. In our society, we tend to, welcome I am a teacher than I am a passionate person committed to help people. You understand what I'm talking
I'm trying
about?
to understand.
Okay, so who you are, you say, oh, I am a teacher. It's easier for everybody to accept that. But then if you ask me who I am, and I tell you I am very passionate person, committed in helping people, resilient on all these information, somebody would think like, you are not that person. But really, that is what makes me who I am. That is my value. That is my character. My character shapes my personality.
Well, that also comes from the societal construct
What we
of that someone is attached to their title. Right? But I also believe that people who understand that your title is not who you are tend to identify or try to know you beyond that title. Do you get what I'm saying? There are people, if you meet, for instance, Oprah Winfrey, all the stories I've heard of her now is not about whether the person has a title or not. All the stories is, hey, make sure you stick to who you are. It's about identity. She always makes sure that she tells you. And that's one thing I've come to realize, that people who climb higher up into society do not care about titles. They only care about the value, or like you're saying, that you are bringing on board. Who are you beyond all these things that people say? You're a celebrity and so what? But you should have something at the very core of you that holds you together. Because the big question is, what happens when you lose that title? If you are a wife, what happens if you lose your marriage? If you are a husband, what happens? What happens when you lose your job? If your identity is tied to your job. You get what I'm saying? So that's the core of it. We actually need to say that there's a distinction between, excuse me to say, shallow people and people who are really in depth with who they are. Because when you meet them and you introduce yourself like what you just said, right? They understand that this person knows themselves from their core. But if you identify yourself from what you do, you see that they try to dig in deeper to find who you are.
So just to add to what you are saying, so in other words, when you identify yourself, that means that we all want to embrace what society wants us to be, not who we are. Because if you want society to accept you by the title you carry, at the end of the day, when society don't accept you anymore by that title, that's if or whenever that title is taken away from you. You cease to exist. Because a person, to me, like I said earlier, a person's identity is your values and the character. You see, you can value something but not model it. So your value, your character, and who you choose to be is your identity, but not what you hold on to. Those are roles. You can let go your role and still have your identity. You can let go being a CEO and still being you. And so you is the value that you bring into your identity.
You are the value that you bring into
You are the value that you bring into your identity. So without those values, you are just acting on a role. You get what I'm saying? And so you can let go. So that's the challenge many of us we struggle with.
But do you believe that we are all actors in life?
Mostly that's what society wants. And so we are all going by that flow. Because if you don't act, you are not valued in society. If I don't tell somebody I am a married woman, people see a beautiful woman not married and they assume you have no good character. And so it is okay for me to tell people, I'm a married woman, I'm Mrs. This. You get what I'm saying? So it's okay for me to act being Mrs. This than saying I'm a prophetess. I prophesy to people. and that is my calling. That is who I am. People will be like, okay, you're a prophetess. What does prophetess do? Obviously, we
But
pray.
prophetess is still a title.
It's a title.
But who are you beyond the prophetess? That is what we are talking about.
You see, the other day I was telling somebody that prophetess is an office, like you are holding into a title.
Yeah.
But with this thing, it's also a character, because it's not something you go and study and become a prophetess. It is an indwelling thing. Before somebody would be called I don't know other prophet, but before somebody would be called a prophet, you are born with it. It's not an office that you just assume, or you pick up the title. You are born with it. And so with me, I know that it is me. I am the prophetess because I was born like this. You get what I'm saying? Maybe I didn't discover who I am early, but it doesn't mean that I learned to be a prophetess. No. So that is not a title. It is who I am.
You really believe that?
But
you have a personality.
I have a personality.
Prophetess.
That's what I'm saying. That discovery who you are is a big thing, because I did not discover. You see, some kids are born to be prophets, right? And they raise them to be that. Some of us, we didn't know that we were born prophets, because our parents didn't know who we are. So we mixed with the crowd till we got to a certain age in our life that you just have the edge. You say, why do I keep doing this same thing over and over? Even if it's hard, I keep doing it. Then later you discover that no, this is you. This is who you are, a prophetess. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a prophet, it's society know prophets to be somebody who sits in a prophetic office and prophesy. But we have different types of prophets, right? So there are some prophets who are born prophets, and there are others who are ordained prophets. You get what I'm saying? And so someone will say, I'm a prophet in the office of a prophet.
Well, anyway,
that's a different
about
topic.
Prophets
So we're talking about identity. So
Yes.
I'm talking about, so identity comes in when you rediscover what God has in you. When you rediscover who you are through your values, through your characters that you align, and then you become your person,
Yeah. But would you also say that people pick up new identities
all the time
from either the environments where they find themselves? I mean, what's your experience with that?
You see, in society, there's a lot of things that makes us who we are. And one of the things is your environment. Your environment can influence a lot of things in your life. Your family values that can also add up to who you are. And then religion and all that. You see, so I know of someone who thought that he was born a boy, but traveled to another country, and he's now a girl. You get what I'm saying? So the person have changed who he is, their identity.
Yeah.
So now it is possible to change your identity at any point in time.
Yeah.
But I believe that comes in identity crisis. When you don't know yourself, you tend to change colors at any wind that blows you.
You become a chameleon.
A caricature, they say. You change, you dance to any tune.
Yeah.
But if you really know who you are, you don't change. You stay right there.
Stay
and you
grounded.
build upon it, because it is gradually you build who you are.
But what happens to people, or what happens when people fall in love with a certain identity? For instance, when you got married, you didn't know that you were a prophetess. Your husband married you as that Mabel. He understood that this is who you are, but over time you've evolved into this person, right? This is your new identity. How do you deal with that? I mean, what even happens to the other person on the other side? So in this case, your husband, who has to now learn to understand who you are now. How do you even shift from that mindset that, okay, this person is no longer who they were when I met them and now they are here?
Okay, thank you, Barbara. So this question falls in last week's conversation when I said that identity is not something we just pick, right? So becoming a prophetess is not something I just become.
Yeah.
It was a gradual thing. So whilst I was going through that process, he was there. So he sees the journey which I was going through every day.
The evolution.
The evolution. So at some point he will question what is going on here, and this is where I am, and this is where I'm going. So we are building on it little by little until we finally got to a point where we know that, oh no, this is it, right? So to me, it's not like a blow to him, like my husband being in a higher rank in his office right now. It didn't just become one day. And when I met him, he wasn't that person. I met him as a lower rank, and now he's gotten there. I'm not surprised because I know that one day he will get to that point. So he's not surprised because I'm sure there are certain qualities in me that as then he saw. For example, he has always seen me praying all the time. So praying tells you that somebody who is really into faith things or religious things. And so for you to now come and tell me, oh, I'm a religious leader, you shouldn't be surprised.
So when you got married, you used to pray when you were younger?
I started praying since.
When you got married?
Yeah. We prayed even before I was praying before we even got married. But I wasn't a prophetess.
Would you say you were a strong Christian then?
Yes, we were both Catholics.
No, strong Christians.
To say strong.
Like, you don't
I wasn't
miss
charismatic.
Church. You don't miss church. You are like, I don't know how to
Catholic,
explain
we have
it.
tradition. And so you go to catechism, you have your first communion and all that.
Yeah, those
I had
are
all
rituals,
those traditions.
But were you like involved in the church? Like maybe you held a position in church? Because those kind of things also.
No. I mean, no. I know I went to CYO, which is one of the Catholic youth organization.
But
yes.
That one are all those, everyone in the Catholic Church knows
we
that
do.
they have to go through steps like
that makes you a serious Catholic. Because some Catholic go to church, they are not baptized, they don't have first communion, they are just going.
Are you in the Catholic Church?
In the Catholic Church.
Oh, no. I don't believe that. Everybody in the Catholic Church at some point.
That's when you know that the person is really a Catholic. When the person is baptized, have communion and everything. So it means you are committed Catholic.
But how can you come to a Catholic church? I don't believe that is true. That you can come to a Catholic church and not be baptized, not have first communion, none of that. Because there will be a point in your life where...
My mom was a Catholic. He never had first communion. He never got baptized.
Did she get married in the Catholic church? No, she didn't. Because if you were actually going to...
So if I get married in my church, it means I was involved in church things.
No, I'm not saying you are not in...
So, no, you wanted to know if I was serious?
Yes, a serious committed church member like you like for me, for instance, every Saturday I know that I have, or Friday I have choir practice or something. I have leadership roles in church. I cannot miss it. That's the kind of this thing that I'm talking about.
Well, as a soldier's daughter, we always travel from one unit to another. So when my parents were in Tamale, I go to Catholic church. I get to some point, they will move to somewhere. I move to Takoradi. I go to Catholic church. So because of that, movement, but I know that I went through all the traditions in the Catholic church.
But what I was trying to say was that when you got married, even though you were prayerful, all of that
in the Catholic church,
all of that, it wouldn't have been like what it is now
today.
Yes. Okay. And that both of you have to adjust and evolve and grow with each other, unlearn the things that the person used to be, because none of you are the same person that you were when you were married from the first. Every year or every decade sheds out a new personality. Who you were 10 years ago, I don't think you were the same. You are the same person now. Your mind is even in a different place. What you want to achieve is different. All those kind of things.
But Barbara, to be honest here is that is not something that I would advise everybody to do.
What?
Being because the question is how he feels now that I'm a prophetess, right? Because I'm a different person now, it's hard for him. You get what I'm saying? At some point, we should allow people to be who they are. Nothing should surprise you in a relationship, because then it's like your life is restricted, waiting changes, and whenever the changes come, it becomes a problem. Because I want my husband to be a better person. Now he's where he is. It's hard for me to adjust to her being a prophetess, because you know, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get
and so
it.
in relationship, I think that we should let the relationship be so free that we can both evolve in any way in our life without affecting the other person's,
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of times, even in friendships, you outgrow
Yeah.
friendships
Yeah.
because your identity changes. Sometimes people say, oh, once you are married, don't hang out with your single friends. Don't talk, because they will not give you good advice. They will not do this. But there are married people too who will give you terrible advice. You see, so you have to choose your friends
friends
wisely. And I also wanted to hammer on that, because especially when people get married as unbelievers, and I was intentionally asking that, were you a strong Christian? Because I was trying to make a point that people marry, even though they all go to church, all right, they are not strong Christians. They are still teething Christians, baby Christians, right? And when someone wakes up and decides that God has called me, it becomes a very big deal in the their identity has now changed, and it takes the grace of God to hold it together.
Yeah.
Because you ask yourself, how do I deal with this? Imagine if you were a person that you like going to the club or drinking your whiskey. After this thing, all of a sudden your husband or your wife says she's a Christian. Hey, she's a woman of God.
I heard a pastor saying that most of the prophetess, most of them, we don't have good character. That's why we can't hold marriages.
Yeah.
That's why I have always believed that God called me, not my husband. And if he wants to come with me through that journey, that is fine. But I don't force him to be who he doesn't want to be. And I've always allowed or accepted him as a person. It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when the boundaries is crossed. That's when I have a problem. But as to me being a prophetess and he being who he is, that's never been my problem. Because I remember, I'm saying this on camera, that a couple of years back, I would have my pastor friends with me, we would be praying and, sharing the word of God, and he will also be on the other side with his friend, having fun, drinking and all that. Hey, I still have my God praying and everything. I don't expect him to force himself into being a prophet just because I'm a prophetess.
I'm not necessarily a prophet, but act godly.
Act godly, yes, but hey, we need to remember that if you are called,
That person is not called.
the entire family is saved, because your prayer alone covers everybody. And so you model it for the person to see, but you don't force the person to become, because the person can pretend acting to be, but really doing their own thing. So the best thing to do is to allow your partner to be who he is, especially when he wasn't or she wasn't the person she is now before you got married, And so I believe that it is hard sometimes when someone personality changes abruptly, especially. It becomes a big challenge, because the other partner would then have to adjust to that new person. And mostly, change is a big deal. People don't easily want an abrupt change.
Yeah.
We want to see it coming. At least I knew this would happen, and it won't be a surprise, But yeah, a lot of people change their identity. But all these is because we are not taught to walk in alignment to what God has called us to be. Because now the generation today, when you give birth from the age 0 to at least 6 years, you by now know the direction which your child is going, and you can guide your child through it. But in our time, our parents would even shut you when you were a girl and you are playing football. Because I remember growing up, I was playing basketball. I used to close from JSS, and I take I go like 4 miles to go play basketball. And it was a big deal. They don't understand, why would you leave the barracks and go all the way to RTU basketball club to play? Which girl does? And it was like, I'm the worst girl in my community, because why should I be, socializing and doing things that I like? But some of these things, it has become, I say, an eye-opening to the generation today, that you can encourage your child from the infancy to discover who he is or she is before she grows up.
Yeah.
You see kids singing and dancing, and they grow up and they'll be the best dancers and singers,
Yeah, well, for kids, one thing that I've always said is that expose your children to as many things as possible when they are young, so that by the time they grow up, they can make a decision on what resonates more with them when they were kids. For instance, I remember when I always tell my friends that when and they always laugh and say I had a good life, but when I was growing up, I had to take swimming lessons, I had to go horse riding, I had to learn French,
By force.
I had to read books and go on Joy FM and all the dancing money box and all that. I was telling someone recently that I hated reading. But my dad will buy books so that we can, contest and go and summarize it. And we will learn typing with Mavis Beacon and all those things. I was like, why do I have to do all of these things, And now that I'm older, I realize that he was just trying to expose me to as many things as he can, so that by the time I grow up, I know what I want. It forms part of my identity. And also exposure, because the type of places that you take your children would help them grow in the mindsets that they will pick up growing up. You get what I'm saying? So if you are always letting your children hang out with, excuse me to say, area boys, they will grow up thinking like area boys. But if you take them to places, I think someone told me that there's his barber, right? The guy who cuts his hair takes his children to an international school, like an American international school. He's a barber, but he works so hard so that his children will go to those schools, because he understands that if his children hangs around these people, they will become someone better in the future. And I said, that guy is the most brilliant guy I've seen so far.
You are talking about our accountant in America.
Who's the accountant?
The tax guy.
No. This is a Ghanaian guy.
I mean, I'm talking about him too in America. He does taxes. That's all he does.
Okay.
But all his kids, even to the university
Private
level,
schools.
they go to private school.
Yeah.
Sometimes he has to hustle and do some some side, gigs to pay his kids' school fees. But at the end of the day, I know his kids are doing very well. So I mean, when you invest in your kids, it's
and it forms part of their identity. Recently, we had a new hire, right? We hired 2 people, and one of them went to a very good school in Ghana. One of them has been working for a while, blah, 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 all of that. I hope they never watch this, but if you do, don't take it personal.
You don't know who they hire. You do a lot of...
No, I'm saying if those people ever watch this video, they don't know themselves. But
if they are here too, what if they are here?
I'm just saying.
Okay.
But you can see a clear difference in the guy who just graduated, and this is supposedly the best school in Ghana, the best university in Ghana, from someone who has been working for, let's say, 5+ years, graduated valedictorian of her class. And the work ethics are so different.
Yeah.
For someone who just graduated and someone who has been working 5 years, when I look at the both, I'm like, there's no way this is happening. But I then I realized that one of my friends used to go to that school, and I remember how she used to complain how the school is hard.
Strict, yeah.
They force them critical thinking, all of these things. That
Very
mommy,
important.
in a week, the things that the boy picked up, I'm so impressed. Everybody is so impressed because it's like I don't have to explain every little thing because he immediately picks it. But it's also because he has been around people.
See, Barbara, that thing could be two things. It's either the guy is in his field, his identity. That is where he wants to be. So he loves what he's doing. He's taking his time to patch into everything that he's being taught. But this lady has to learn or to be there because he needs the money.
Yeah.
So there's two different people here.
You think so?
Oh yeah, there's two
Okay.
different, like nursing. If you go to America right now or Europe or wherever, you see nurses, white nurse and African nurse. Some of the work ethics is terrible, especially from the African nurses. They are so terrible. I will tell you, terrible. Simple because the white nurse, this is what she wants to do. That's why she's a nurse. But the African nurse perhaps is a nurse because he needs the money. But maybe in Africa he was a doctor or something. You get what I'm saying? So it's like she has to do this because he needs the thing. There's two different people.
Yeah.
So one would be more alert and concentrate on building the job, and the other will be like, let me just do what is this,
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I believe
you have a
something
point
there is happening. Because
a
why
point
would you
there.
be the best in your class? Now you have the job and you are not exhibiting what you are taught.
Yeah. So I think we've spoken quite a bit about identity, and we've actually given a lot of scenarios about identity now. What I want us to speak about, we spoke about this last week, but I feel it's, once we are talking about it, let's just repeat it again. How do I identify myself?
See, I will say this again because I say this over and over. Identity is not something we pick from the ground or you just discover. It's a process. It's something that you rediscover, the little things you do all the time, the consistent things that will not go away. You see, the things you value, your character that you model. You get what I'm saying? And then who you choose to be. It identifies everything. It's like,
Can I tell you something funny I just thought about? Or maybe it's a revelation. Your identity is your ID card.
Oh, okay.
ID card.
Okay, your
ID
ID
means
card.
identity, right? And on that card that you are holding has your name, your date of birth, all the information relevant to you. Now, those information or that information on that card is you. That has been given to you.
Yeah.
But there's also another ID that you create that you don't hold around.
And that's
your personality, your values, things that you take along with you everywhere that you go. That's your identity.
okay. That makes sense. Because identity, usually, you should be born with your identity, but because we don't get the mentorship we need to align ourselves with who we are, we get lost in as we're growing. We get lost. We just follow the flow. Like my parents take me to school to become a teacher. Maybe I don't want to be a teacher, but because everybody is doing teaching, or I did well in some subjects, they would add, oh yeah, being a teacher would be good. Like we used to tell you guys, be this. Somebody wants to be a doctor. Somebody wants to be this. Somebody wants to be a craft. Marvin used to say he wants to be a craft master or something like that. A craft master or whatever it is. But now, he has, I want to be this, So the guidance, just as you said, parents will stick you, would put you in so many activities. And then as you are going through all these activities, you are finding yourself in between, And so finally, gradually, you get to find a place where you fit in perfectly.
But do you think also growing up in Africa has made that even, should I say, 60% harder finding your identity?
Oh yeah. I was talking to Alex about this before you came in, and then I said that there's one thing about Africa that I would love is that our culture is rich. The culture would force you to be strict on certain things as compared to outside. But one thing that our culture doesn't help is restricting us to bury our person. Like a child would not talk to grown-ups anyhow. You are seen disrespectful. But in outside, they allow a child to speak up because it's called boldness, So that big gap is a challenge. But I think if we can update our culture,
we'll change the version to version 3.0.
3.0
updated version.
If we can, because everything in this world is good. We didn't have AI, and now AI
plug it in a charger and say we are turning it off.
One funny thing.
Yeah.
I noticed that culture can be enhanced because. I went to my village the other day and I realized that there are certain things that we used to see as abomination that I'm not, snitching, but I see people doing it now, and they tell me, now they have a secret way of going around it. So that means that Africa, we can enhance. We can enhance on
our culture.
Enhance on our culture, yeah.
Because we also need to think about the fact that what worked then cannot work now.
Right.
And now you just spoke about AI, this social media, which plays
platforms
a big role in all of this. But do you believe that now social media also affects or makes people pick up identities, or it affects how they even see themselves?
It shapes people to become better in finding their identity, because
wait, did you say social media
it shapes people
to become better in finding their identity?
Yes.
You are the first person I'm hearing
yes. Oh yes. You see, somebody in my village would have a very unique gift, but doesn't know how to go about it. This person will go to social media and see somebody doing it. I can do this. I take myself for example. Growing up, I used to see Mami Dokunu to be someone that I want to be. Like, I want to be like her, my idol, my mentor. And so every week when she's doing her program, I listen to her program. I like the way she dress up. And even up to today, I like to dress up like that. I picked up from her. So if I had not, and I was in the north at that time, but I was watching Aunt Mami Grace's, show. So you see, even in those days, social media wasn't as it is today, but it was radio and television once in a while. But I did pick some things from her, and it shaped my life. You get what I'm saying? Somebody can do the same. Now social media, they don't need to even, just on their phone. And they can model something good. That's when they want to use it for a good purpose. They can model it. Because social media, there are good things there as well as bad things. So it is your choice to pick the good ones,
I find it always interesting that you see preachers and plenty people, hey, social media is a bad place, but they are the same people who post on the social media.
They sell themselves there. That's where they make their name.
I don't get it.
You see, it's not just social media. Anything that you do, too much of it destroys you. Anything, even food. When you eat too much, you become an obese. And so you drink too much, you become a drunkard. You marry too many wives, you become what? Okay, so in everything we do in life, right? Too much of it, there's
a downside to everything.
And so it's not just social media. Social media has done a lot of good things, for those that use it in a good way. And it has also destroyed kids, because in the first place we should have parental control. My daughter would go and steal her phone and be on social media at the time when she's not supposed to be on. So some of these things we need to control them to make it work for us.
Let's play a game. It's just rapid questions.
Okay.
You have to answer it fast.
Okay.
Okay. Number 1, what title would be the hardest for you to lose?
What title to be there? My name.
What fear keeps people from being themselves?
Fear for losing their lives.
Themselves.
Fear for losing themselves.
What fear keeps people from losing themselves? Like, what is that feeling that makes people not want to lose their identity, let's say?
Self-worth? I don't know. I don't get it though, but
okay, let's move on. What's one thing people pretend about?
Riches? To be famous or rich? I don't know.
That's a good one. When did you discover who you were or who you are?
When? When I realized that I keep doing the same thing that makes me happy. I realized that this is who I want to be.
What is one thing one lie people believe about identity?
That when people praise you or when people applaud on what you do is your identity. Because many people think that because everybody is cheering on you being this person, it is your identity. But many a times the people are just acting. Assuming I was talking about somebody I liked. Oh, this person, like a celebrity, right? I like this person. She acts so nice. And just because I want to be like her acting doesn't mean in real life she does that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because we are applauding her doesn't make her a perfect, ideal person.
I want to encourage every woman out there, or even if you're a man, get this book. A Woman But a Wise Builder. This book is meant for women who are trying to identify themselves. Women who want to be intentional about every decision that they make. The Bible says that a wise woman builds her house, but the foolish plucks it down with her own hands. I don't believe you want to be a foolish woman. We are all meant to be wise women. So use this opportunity to go to mabelzangoministries.org and grab yourself a copy of this book. It was written by my dear, beautiful mommy. You can see her right there. She's also here. She would say a few words. But make sure you grab a copy for yourself. Mommy, you want to say something?
Yeah, so in the book, I highlighted the fact that every woman can build. We all have the capacity to build something meaningful.
Yeah.
And many women are stuck between finding who they are and just accepting anything. Because if you don't know your identity, you settle for anything.
Yeah.
But if you know who you are able to turn the table around at any point in time. Because God, in his own infinite wisdom, created a woman to have this grace to bless, to create, and to transform. And so this book, if you get one and go through it, you will understand that it's a tool. It's not just a motivational words, but it's a transformative information that will build you stronger than ever. And so grab one and your life will not be the same. So
that's good. Well, we've come to the end of our conversation. I want to say thank you, Mommy, for always pouring out your wisdom. One day we would all watch these videos and be like, wow, we can't believe we were talking about all of this. It's such a relevant conversation in this time. And before we close, I just want to tell every woman, you are not your job. You are not your relationship status. You are not your achievements, you are not your failures, and you are not your title. The greatest journey in life is discovering who God created you to be. That is where I leave you all. See you again when we sit to have another conversation right here on Builders Circle. My name is Barbara. Bye for now.